Many thanks for staying with us here on News Today. Let's start off with that very story from the Bono region, where we are told that scores of people are said to have sustained several degrees of injuries following an accident on the Kintampo-Techiman Road involving a U-turn bus and a truck carrying tomatoes. Correspondent Anas Sabi joins us on phone now from the Bono region with details of this very accident. So, Anas, thank you very much for joining us. Now, do we know whether any lives have been lost to this accident?
Come again, please, attention.
Yes, I'm asking whether we know of any lives lost to this particular accident.
Not really. There haven't been any death casualty, but we have some few people on board of the truck loading the tomatoes being injured, with the driver who is in a critical condition, having both of his legs, broken and hospitalized at the Holy Family Hospital. So no death in this particular accident.
What do we know to be the cause of this very accident?
From the driver on board of the U-turn bus who hasn't had any injury, he is traveling from Kumasi to the north, with the truck also traveling down south to Kumasi. And when they got to Techiman-Chiobodom road, close to the police barrier, there were some cars which were stopped over by the police. And all of a sudden, he saw the truck coming. He didn't see what happened. He just veered off his road. And it was drizzling around that time, so the road was somehow slippery. And even after applying his brake, he couldn't, control the vehicle. He couldn't do anything than, hit the upcoming truck, which was also on his lane, traveling down south. So from the two reports we are getting, as well as the mate on the truck, they were on their lane. The U-turn driver veered off his lane because of overtaking and overspeeding as well. They informed us that the only reason why the U-turn driver failed to be injured is because he left his seat to the back of the truck. That's how come he was able to survive the accident without any injury.
Do we know, for instance, where these trucks were headed in the first place, and what more these survivors have been saying to you?
Yeah, the front bus has from Kumasi to Tamale, and the truck, which is also loading tomatoes, was also traveling from the north to Kumasi. The president of the Tomato Association in Kumasi, and he confirmed to us that.
Okay, we seem to have lost our correspondent Anas Sabit on the line there. He was bringing us a lot more on that particular accident involving that truck carrying tomatoes, and indeed that U-turn bus also on that particular stretch of road. We are told is the Kintampo road there, and fortunately, nobody has lost his life. We're told that quite a number of people sustained injuries have been treated and discharged, but we still have a few people who are in the hospitals. We'll be bringing you a lot more on this subsequently. It is that accident in the Bono region. But away from that now, and traders in the country this morning began a 3-day strike in protest of the introduction of some new taxes by government. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association served notice last week that its members will, beginning today, lock up their shops and sit out to protest the high taxes imposed by government, a situation they say is seriously affecting their businesses. My colleague Michaela Anderson has been monitoring the situation there this morning and has come through with the following report.
I've been here for more than an hour, and I can report that no shop has been opened here at the Abosokan spare parts complex. The reason is that the traders say they are on strike to protest against government's introduction of taxes on their goods and services. What is happening here is that most of them have gathered in front of their shops chatting. They are saying they are not happy about the numerous taxes. They talk about the 2% special tax on import duties, and they talk about the 1% being charged by destination inspection companies, which are even no more. And they are also unhappy about the 17.5% VAT, which is being charged across board. I've been speaking to some traders, and they are furious.
For some time now, what we are going through is just too much for us. just imagine the tax we are paying now and a whole lot of inconvenience, you understand. So right now what we want the government to do is to just intervene, because in fact, one, look at our taxes now, right from 3% to 17%. It's just too much. Go to the port, the tax we are paying, internal revenue, it's just too much. So right now, what we are doing, we want the government to know that for all that we've been telling for years now, since he's not listening, we want him to know we are very serious. That's why we've closed down our shops. What we want, we are thinking of the future and our kids. We are not thinking about now. For what we have now, fine, we can take care of it. But we have to think about children and our children's children. So just imagine, if this thing is supposed to continue, I mean, how do you expect our kids to be? You understand? So it's too much for us now. It's too much.
I'm selling car batteries, hose, and then seat belts, everything is there. I'm getting a very nice store whereby about 3 days now, everything, the way I'm coming, I'm here, 4:30 safe, I'm here, whereby nothing, they buy nothing. If I come store, nothing. Even my children everywhere, even before I can pay school fees for themselves, it's too much expenses for me. So we beg buying to watch for us, whereby everything will come down, whereby which we can get something small.
We are closed because the government doesn't care for us.
Why do you say that?
Because if we ask of the duty, we are demanding the duty to be reduced, and still the government is not listening to us. We are dying.
So you think the import duties are too high, and so you've decided to embark on a strike?
And a lot of things.
What other things?
The things are many.
Can you name some of them?
And they don't buy if we open, because of things are high. They don't buy our things. You open, you sit down, you have a loan to pay.
To matter of fact, since 3, 4, 5 years, things are too difficult for us, especially when your goods come in. The dollar rate have been increased more than 200 to 300%. We are demanding about the taxes. Government will draw all the taxes. A new tax will be added with the old tax. And secondly, we are pleading for the government to look after the dollar standard. The city is too deflation. It's coming down too much.
A customer who traveled all the way from Suhum to Abosokai to buy some spare parts to fix his car is unhappy he's unable to buy the products because of the ongoing strike.
I wanted to buy my car goods, but I came, there's nobody opening store. I'm sad because from Suhum I spent my lot of fare to here. There's no, I don't know. Because unless I go back, I don't know the time I will go open the store.
They said they are going to do that till Wednesday.
Well, when maybe I have children, so I want to pay my children's school fees. So unless my children stay home until Wednesday, before I spend my car, I go to work before I pay my distance schools. It's not good.
My name is Kofi Boateng. I'm the Deputy National Organizer of GUTA. If you live in the country, definitely you pay tax, because we all know that it is the tax which is used to run the country. But what we are saying is, at least government must meet us halfway. Since we started this agitation, not even the Deputy Minister has called us, to see to the solution of the problem. It seems government is adamant, and we can say that government doesn't want to do anything about it. As I'm talking to you now, countries which are landlocked, like Niger, like Mali, like Burkina Faso, which used to clear their goods from Tema or Takoradi here, have all ceased coming here because of high taxes.
What if this strike doesn't yield any result? Well,
if it doesn't yield results, we have given ourselves to Wednesday. If it doesn't yield any results, we will convene a meeting, evaluate the whole process, and then come out with the next line of action.
But is this the best way to handle the situation?
This is the best way. Strike is also a constitutional right.
The traders say they will not back down on their exercise until government addresses their concerns. Michaela Anderson, Abosokai Spare Parts Complex.
George Kokofori is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. He's been speaking to Joy News on their concerns and their issues, as well as what they plan on doing should this strike not yield the needed response.
The organization, we encourage our members to abide by their civic responsibility by paying taxes all right. But you see, when the taxes are too many, that is where there becomes too much complaint about how one is going to organize himself or himself in terms of his business activity. And, it's about a month ago that we had a press conference regarding our grievances in terms of excessive tax payment. Don't forget, after, a research that was conducted, we realized that we were paying about 50%. It means, therefore, that if you import an item, about $100,000 item, you're going to pay about $50,000 before you can bring your goods out of the port. Besides that, we have institutions, state institutions like Ghana Standard Authority, Sectors Authority, Food and Drugs Authority, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and a host of others. Last year, we had a meeting with our sector minister, and we were able to identify about 23 of such institutions at the port. And so it means if you quantify them in terms of percentage of tax, you are even getting about 10 or 15% in addition to the already 50% that we have already. Besides that, there was an arrangement between GUTA and the PRE, Ministry of Finance, about the payment of this 17.5%, which we had a meeting and agreed that due to the informal sector, the way they compute the input and output, the difficulty that they are encountering, the challenge that they are encountering, we were able to strike a deal that the 3% plus rate should be the order of the day. Could you believe that, as I speak, this arrangement has been scrapped without due consultation with the same people who sat down and agreed? You ask yourself, is it fair for the trading public to be treated this way? And so by sending all the traders, be it formal, informal, and block, to the 17.5%, means that whether you have an input or not, whether you can get back your input or not, you are going to pay the 17.5%.
Well, away from that, let's talk politics now. In flag bearer of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has this morning been speaking on what he describes as the real state of the nation address. Well, he's still in that particular speech, and we can now cross over live to the College of Physicians and Surgeons and bring you a live feed of that current program.
After the starving, the
Okay, we seem to have a bit of a challenge with the feed there, but we are still working on it, and when we do have it, we'll bring that to you. But it has to do with the flag bearer of the opposition NPP presenting what he describes as the real state of the nation address, seeking to discredit quite a number of things that were put out by the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, last Thursday. We can now take you live to the College of Physicians and Surgeons once more and bring you that feed. Okay, so it seems it's impossible to bring you that particular feed. So we're taking a break here on News Today. We'll return shortly with some more. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us here on News Today. To some more stories now. The President's State of the Nation address last Thursday touched on significant successes chalked by the government in the educational sector. Now, President Mahama, for instance, highlighted the work done by his government in parts of, the work done by the President in making sure that some schools and the trees are taken out. So let's get some Let's bring you a lot more on the checks that we've currently been doing, particularly in the Ashanti region. Joining me over the telephone lines now with a lot more is Erastus Asari Donko in Kumasi. So, Erastus, what's the situation in Kumasi? The things we are seeing there, do they reflect what the president said in his State of the Nation address?
Well, a number of schools were mentioned, and I've been able to visit 3 of them so far, under the Schools Under Trees Eradication Program, if you can call it that way. One of the schools is Akrim Early Primary School. On the ground, it's Akrim MA Primary instead. And I've been told that there were no schools under trees in that particular school. In fact, if you look at the old block that was constructed way back in 1960, it accommodates all the students, and so they did not have any schools under trees. But then, a 6th classroom block was constructed for them in 2012, and it's housing the KG to P6 classroom. So it's an addition on what they had already, but not necessarily to solve a problem of schools under trees. Then when you go to Enyano, MA Primary B, that is within the Moshizongo community. This was also part of the list under schools under trees that was presented by the president. Now, this school was built, there's an 8 classroom block added. It was added in 2012. And I've been told that too was not to solve a problem of schools under trees. But then there was a shift system that was running as a result of congestion in the classroom. And so the 8th classroom block was built in 2012 to solve that problem. Then I went to Ansarel Islamic School, and there as well, this school was built in 1990. It was a private Arabic institution built by Sheikh Adam Musa Bamba, and the government adopted it in 1991. And so the MP helped in constructing a 6th classroom block to help accommodate more people. And so it was not, again, as if it was schools under trees and children were learning under trees. No, it was an Arabic school adopted by government, and the MP constructed a 6th classroom block to help them move on. So these are the 3 that I've visited so far. We are yet to visit all the 8 in the Ashanti region. Okay,
Rastos, many thanks for that update, and subsequently we'll be bringing a lot more from other constituencies in the Ashanti region on this particular subject matter. But away from that now, and former president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Donko Fojo, is sad about the country's current system of education. In an exclusive interview with Joy News, Dr. Fojo described the computerized school selection and placement system as, quote, dehumanizing and unethical, end quote. Dr. Fojo, who is also the vice chairman of the board of trustees of the Catholic University College, says the computerized school selection placement system and other weak reforms in the educational system is to blame for the falling standard of basic and secondary education in the country.
The 3 years, only God knows. But why hasn't Nigeria also gone to 3 years? Why? Why? What is Ghana shooting for? Sierra Leone, they have even gone back. No, why is Ghana rushing to use 3 years? Is it to produce illiterate clerks? People who don't know even how to file? No, the computer has become a bad, I'm able to write my books because I use the computer, but I don't use the computer to copy. People are writing because they just lift thinking it will not be seen. Some of us see it. So let me thank you for raising these questions. I think I'm a Ghanaian just like any other person. I respect those who are in government.
You say that if Nana gets the nod to become the next president, you will try convincing the Minister of Education to revert back to the 4-year system. Yes. Don't you think that amounts to the roller coaster, which isn't helping us? It's not doing us any good. That now that we have the 3 years, why don't you run with it?
Yes, I do. I wouldn't run with it because it has not worked. It has not worked. I mean, why stick with something which hasn't worked? That minister who brought the 3-year thing, if you go back into history and look at his record when he was in Western College, he wasn't performing. The Ghanaians are afraid. I will say it. The one who brought the 3 years, when he was in training college, in Western College, his performance was not above board.
That is strong allegation.
Yes, it's an allegation I'm making, but I can prove it. No, I mean, look, get the best. Get the best. Let's not beat about the bush. The 4 years will always work because it has worked. The 3 years, we know it is not working. And it will be good for Mahama to change it. That is statesmanship. That is what Ghana is not having. Because Kufuor did it, we won't do it.
You're still watching News Today here on your Joy News channel, Multi TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, John Omwako joins you with business. And now time for some business. And the African Center for Energy Policy, ASEP, is challenging President Mahama or his declaration that 800 megawatts of power has been added to the country's generation mix. The president made the announcement during the presentation of the State of the Nation's address last Thursday. According to the president, the power crisis that crippled many businesses and left many people jobless has now ended. But the African Center for Energy Policy says the crisis is far from over as the amount of power added to the national grid is below the 800 megawatts. The Deputy Executive Director of ASEP, Ben Boache, questioned the president's statement in an interview with Joy Business.
800 megawatt, I didn't get how the computation was done. I mean, from where we sit, the additions we have seen are the car power 225, the Ameri 250, plus the steam turbine at Tico. So we add that together, and it's about 580 megawatts. So I don't know where the SS is coming from. But that is not enough to be able to bring on other companies like VACO who are not consuming electricity right now. Because Akosombo, which always has been our savior, has been struggling. And last year we were doing around 600, 700 megawatts from Akosombo. But today we're doing around 300 and 370 megawatts. So it tells you that whilst you are adding generation from thermal, Akosombo increasingly is not available. And if the rains continue to delay, it may require that we shut down more turbines, and that could also be worrying for us. So we're still not out of the woods. We just have to keep working harder and making sure that we have enough generation added. One significant thing also to note is that the relief we have is not just as a result of the new plants that have been added, but it's also a fact that plants that existed for which we could never procure crude oil for, we now have crude oil firing them. And that has added. So you ask yourself, why didn't we buy this crude oil earlier to keep businesses afloat, to ensure that they did not go under before we bought crude oil to get them operational? You know, so it speaks to our planning as a nation and how we intervene, you know, with the needed solutions to help, you know, industry and electricity consumers to keep their businesses.
Meanwhile, the centre has already warned that even though the power situation has fairly stabilized, the challenges may recur towards middle of the year when peak demand due to projected economic recovery around that time. Mr. Boachi says the only way out is the production of more power.
But if you look at the trend, now our peak demand is around 1,700 megawatts. Per Energy Commission's estimate, by end of 2015, we're supposed to be consuming 2,500 megawatts. So a whopping close to 800 megawatts is not unaccounted in our demand scenario right now, and that should be worrying. You ask yourself, who is not consuming that power? And for which reason we're having to celebrate end of load shedding, when indeed there is that significant gap, in terms of what we should be consuming. And I think that is what should worry all of us. It means that people are shutting down, businesses are shutting down, people are not consuming, whether it will be for productive reasons or not. They are not consuming power because it is probably too expensive or it's not available. And these are things that we would need to interrogate to make sure that we are synchronizing our politics with development, because if we are celebrating the little when it's not, transforming the economy, then that is a very difficult position. I think that at this stage, we can safely conclude that industries are not functioning as much as they should. And one thing also is that whilst you are celebrating an end to load shedding, you should also be considering what the suppressed demand scenario is. We have VACO that needs about 300 megawatts of power to produce. They are only producing with one port line at around 60 megawatts of power. If VACO should zoom in today to full capacity, a lot of places will be in darkness. So we have not technically ended load shedding.
And finally, the Chief Executive of the Institute of Certified Economists, Ghana, Daniel Atani, has called on ECOWAS countries to step up its effort to integrate the economies. He says that is also key in the quest to mitigate the impact of failing commodity price on ECOWAS countries, which are mostly commodity export-oriented. Mr. Atani has earlier proposed adding value to commodities as a way to overcome the current situation. He tells Joy Business the next big step after this would be for ECOWAS countries to trade among themselves, to trade among themselves. He explains why that is important.
The integration of our various economies within the sub-region is key. ECOWAS should take the bold step and integrate the economy. We should move from the theoretical models that we have in the treaties and begin to practicalize by trading among ourselves. Doing that, what it means is that we'll rely less on Europe and America for the exportation of our raw materials. And even when we add value to it, what it means is that we are able to get more value in terms of revenue than just exporting the raw materials to the global.
And that will be it for business. My name is John Kojo Amwakon. For more, you can join me at exactly 1 on the marketplace.
Many thanks for staying here on News Today. Now, Ghana's most influential and credible media empire, the Multimedia Group, has begun a process to empower journalists in the country to help them gain access to vital information needed for the profession. Now, the group, through its lawyer Samson Ladi, has officially written to the Speaker of Parliament requesting the status of the Right to Information Bill, which is currently awaiting consideration in the August House. Joint News editor Jifa Bumpo has a copy of that letter and is joining me in studio now with details of that particular letter. So, Jifa, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. So, what really is the Multimedia Group seeking in this letter?
Well, the Multimedia Group, through this letter, is seeking to ask the Parliament to pass the Right to Information Bill before considering the interception of postal packets and telecommunications bill. So, essentially, the letter seeks to recall the concerns from civil society organizations on the Right to Information Bill, the Select Committee on Constitutional Legal Affairs, the fact that they reviewed the bill and that the problematic causes of the bill and proposed amendments were to be looked at again in line with the concerns of the CSOs and the coalition, as well as the African Union model law. Now, the letter goes on to say that I'm aware that on December 17th, 2014, the Select Committee tabled the report containing the amendments in Parliament, and following the submission of the committee's report, the Attorney General and the Minister for Justice on June 25, 2015, moved for the motion of the bill for the second reading, and that paves the way for discussions to commence on the bill. Now, as part of all these processes, the bill eventually was referred to the next stage of the legislative process, which we all know is the consideration stage, and this was in October 27, to be precise, 2015. Now, since that time, nothing has been heard about the bill. The bill is always put on the agenda to be looked at and passed, but it's not happened. Now, the letter goes on to point to the fact that this is problematic because, according to the procedures, once this Parliament elapses, it means that the bill cannot be passed as it is by a new Parliament. Okay. So it will have to begin the process all over again. So let me just read that it is noted that Ghana has signed onto the Open Government Partnership and has committed for the second time in its action plan of that partnership to pass the Right to Information Bill. And that will strengthen Article 21, which is a right to information. Exactly. And so he's seeking to say, or our lawyer is seeking to say through this letter to Parliament, that if you seek to pass the Interception of Postal Packets and Telecommunications Bill, you'll be taking that right away. That is the right to information. So hence, pass this one first before you consider passing the Postal Packets bill. So just a quick point that I need to reiterate, that it said that let it be your legacy that the Parliament that you presided over, that is the Speaker, Dua Joho, you considered the right of the people to demand information from government more as equally important as the government that is seeking to monitor what citizens do in their bedrooms. So essentially, give citizens the right to access information, but don't pass a bill that seeks to, quote and unquote, eavesdrop on them in whatever they're doing. And they want this passed as soon as possible.
Jifa, many thanks for that update. And that was Joy News editor Jifa Bampo bringing us extracts of that particular letter written to the Speaker of Parliament. We'll bring you a lot more on this, plus a detailed analysis of the Right to Information Bill subsequently, particularly on the pause, which airs at 3 p.m. on this very same channel. But time now for some entertainment. And that'll be it for news today here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. Remember to log on to myjoyonline.com for a lot more news. John Amako comes up next with the marketplace. My name is Kwabna Chenchen. Many thanks for your company.